I'm Darian Alexis, and welcome to a 20-something survival guide, the place where you and me learn to survive and thrive in our 20s and beyond. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. Big life changes. I am so anxious right now. My heart is racing. I'm confused. I'm stressed. I'm excited. I'm feeling so many emotions right now. So, if you can't tell, this episode isn't just about big life changes for all of us, which I will talk about, but it's because I'm about to have a big life change. Change is inevitable. It is going to happen to all of us throughout our lives, especially as 20 somethings. I feel like the most change happens, in my opinion, from your 20s to your 30s, hence this entire podcast. But I said that enough, so ignore my annoying self. But this is the time where we're switching careers, moving states, getting engaged, getting married, having kids, going out, staying in. Change is bound to occur, especially to our hair colors, you know? So far in my life, I have experienced a lot of change. I moved away from my parents' house to go to college in my early 20s, or maybe I was 19. I don't really remember how old you are when you start your freshman year of college. Anyways, that was like my first big change, I feel like, moving out of my childhood home. The next big change happened when COVID hit. That impacted every single one of us, especially because if you're 25 like me, that means you may have started your job, your full time career during a pandemic. We were working from home. That was crazy. I don't think any of us foresaw that coming. I know I sure didn't. And then when we were living with masks on, I never foresaw the end of that in sight. And so that happened. And so now we don't have masks on anymore. And we can see each other smile. And, thinking back to it, life is a lot more beautiful than it was during the pandemic. Obviously, that was a very scary time for all of us, but we all came out. We're on the other side now. So after that change, I was living in Indiana, and that was a big change moving out of state to be away from my family for a new career. But I was working at Purdue, and then I feel like my next big change came when I moved to Connecticut and I got a job here and I moved in with my boyfriend. And so that's where I've been. But I have new news. I thought the podcast would be the best place to tell everyone. So, surprise! I quit my job and I'm moving. I honestly want to cry. Everything happened so slow and then it happened so fast. So let's just see where to start. Me and Michael have been living in Connecticut for like a little bit over a year and a half now, and we have made some wonderful friends and some wonderful memories, but we just realized it was time to be closer to family. So Michael started applying to different jobs. He realized he was ready for a new there's a bug. He realized he was ready for a new opportunity. And so he had a contingent offer. And then I was like, well, crap. I haven't started applying anywhere. I don't know what to do. I felt panicked. I felt rushed. I felt a little bit of hopeless. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, oh no, my boyfriend already has a job. I do not want to move without a job. So I started panic applying places and I didn't find anything that I truly loved. However, I came upon a position and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a dream job. It is basically, to boil it down, it's at a healthcare tech company. I felt such a pull to this company because I really believed in the mission and vision of the company. So I felt a call to apply to this company. And after some interviews, they gave me an offer. Okay, let's rewind. The contingent offer Michael had did not end up going through. He decided to not go with the company. And so now I have an offer and Michael doesn't have a job. I have 4 months until I will be moving. So I'll be here in Connecticut, but I'll be working my new job. So exciting. All right, well, literally 2 days ago, Michael found out that he got the offer at a company in Ohio. And they they gave him a month and they said, you need to be here in a month. I immediately started panicking. I'm like freaking panicking as we speak. So sorry if my speech is choppy. because now me and Michael have exactly 1 month to get our life together and move to Ohio from Connecticut. We don't have movers. We had to figure out an apartment situation. There's just so many things to figure out. On top of all of this, in 2 months, in September, we have a 2-week Europe trip. And then October, I have my friend's wedding in Connecticut. So there's just so many things I have to figure out. And it just feels so overwhelming. But I want to say to you, if you're going through a big life change like this, like a whole career swap, because I've been in higher ed for a few years now, I'm switching to healthcare. And I'm moving back across the country, hours and hours away. And I'm moving to Ohio, yes, where my family is, but my family's not in the area. My family's in the Cleveland area. And Michael's job is in the so there's just so many variables and I am freaking out. And so if you guys see me and you're like, oh my gosh, Darian, you're so cool, calm, collected. No, I'm not. Am I going to act that way? Yes. Fake it till you make it, babes. Big life changes are terrifying, but they happen to all of us and we have to take them one step at a time. So 2 days ago, when me and Michael found out that we were going to have to move in a month, also, I start my first week at my job. So from August 1st to August 17th, I will be in Ohio and Michael will be here having to pack up our apartment to move. So that feels a little anxiety inducing. Love Michael, but I'm the organizer out of the two of us. And so the fact that he might have to do a lot of the packing makes me a little nervous. Got those heart palpitations. However, as you can see, I've already started packing and I've packed pretty much our entire guest bathroom and kitchen is pretty much packed. So for one day, I feel like I'm killing it. I'm sitting down here to chat with you guys. Going to chat with you guys for a short amount of time, but got to talk about the big life changes. And I know I wanted to tell you guys about this huge life update before it just comes out. I wanted to keep it real, wanted to keep it genuine, wanted to keep it raw. So, if you're like me, how are we coping with these big life challenges? As I said, we're faking it till we make it and we're taking it one step at a time. So honestly, I didn't really know what to do, so I consulted ChatGPT. Call me crazy, but I said, hey, ChatGPT, please make a detailed moving plan for me, including what I should pack when and what I should do in the order to be best prepared to move across the country on this date. So the first thing Michael and me found out was what date we need to move. Okay, great. Now we know when we want to move. So now we need to find an apartment. Once we found an apartment, we were able to luckily have my sister go check it out and make sure it was a good apartment for us because she does live in the area and she was able to give us a tour so we could see it before we move there. If that is an option for you to have a virtual tour or have someone check out the premises before you move, highly recommend. It is terrifying finding an apartment in a different state when you don't live there. So I highly recommend if you do have the availability or the opportunity to go vet out an apartment before signing a lease, that you do that. Once we found our apartment, our next step now is to find movers because I was researching movers, but we can't actually hire movers if we didn't know where they were taking our stuff to. So now that is our next step. And then after that, once we have the movers set, we are going to notify our apartment that we're moving out. Unfortunately, a lease is a lease. And since we're moving in 30 days, we cannot break our lease because we have 3 months left. So we're going to have to pay for 3 months in 2 places, which financial hurt. However, luckily, me and Michael will both be getting raises in our new jobs, in our new opportunities. So the financial punch won't be punching as much, but that's just something to keep in mind too. This is why we have savings, babes, because when your rainy day comes, this is my rainy day, you'll have a little bit of a net to help you prepare for the future. So if you can, I always recommend setting a little bit of each of your paychecks into your savings. So when big life changes like this come, you feel prepared. Back to coping, because I feel like my mind is going a billion miles a minute. So I'm sorry if none of this stuff is like in order. The number one thing with coping with big life changes is your support system. For me, luckily, I have a built in support system with Michael. I cannot tell you how anxious I've been. I almost feel like I'm going to cry. I feel like this is the first time I'm going to cry. The past few days have been so overwhelming with figuring out all the details. However, Michael has just been so supportive throughout this entire process, as well as my sister, who's been there like every step of the way. Shout out Leah, and my friends and family. Your friends and family are everything. So just thank them extra if you can. But having a family to support you through big life changes, it's not always the changes that's like, I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm getting choked up. Change is scary. I'm so funny because I always want change. Like I'm a Sagittarius. I love to like make these big changes cuz I get bored in life sometimes, but when the change actually comes, I I deal with change really horribly. So, I'm not saying like take my advice or anything. I'm just sharing that you're not alone in whatever change in life you're going through. I consult my friends a lot. I read and try to take care of myself. I listen to other podcasts. I do a lot of research on, best codes of action for changes. I think for me, change is really hard when I don't have a plan in place. And as I said before, I thought I had 4 months to move, and now my time in Connecticut is down to 2 weeks. So there's some people I'm not even going to get to say goodbye to, which is really hard because every time you move, you build a family and the people around you are the most important. Like I said, that support system. So just make sure, you're reaching out to your friends and family when you're feeling anxious and overwhelmed because the people in your life love you and support you and are going to help you through anything. And if you need someone to talk to, my DMs are always open. Darian Diaries at Gmail. Feel free to email me if you're feeling overwhelmed because you know what? I'm feeling overwhelmed too. So we can do it together. Another thing to think about when big life changes come is that a lot of these things are positive. It is great that I get to be closer to family. It is great that me and Michael are both getting raises in our jobs and getting to explore these new opportunities. But that doesn't take away from the fact that it is scary and your feelings are valid. Just acknowledge your feelings. I recommend journaling if you can. For me, I've been like journaling in my head. So I guess it's not journaling, it's self-reflection. I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, just take care of yourself. Take some time to just sit and relax and take some time to watch your favorite show or dance to your favorite song or go for a little walk, get outside, and then just get back to it. Don't give up. You got this. Change is a beautiful thing. And with change comes learning and growth. So, yes, a caterpillar may be scared to go into its little cocoon, but once it gets out on the other side, we're butterflies and we're flying. So, just know seasons of change are going to come and are going to go. And you just have to try your best to stay positive and focus on all of the things that can go right instead of all of the things that could go wrong. I know that's easier said than done, but some ways you can do this is by making lists, making some pros and cons lists. As I said, reflecting on where you were slash where you're going and just trying to see the best in every single day. Preparing and planning. As I said before, I use ChatGPT to help me plan, and I'm just a born planner. So I like to make spreadsheets in Google Excel. Google Excel and Google Docs are my thing. They help me prepare for every one of life's changes. I like to make checklists in there. I like to set priorities and lists. So, what we're doing for this move, I kind of laid out a little bit things, but when it comes to packing, each day we're going to try to pack a room so that it doesn't feel as overwhelming. If you just say, oh my gosh, I don't know where to start, Well, duh, no one else knows where to start either, but you just have to start small and you can, after some time, get there. So, if you're doing a move, I always recommend packing things that aren't as important, like taking your art off the wall. Michael's packing up like some of his hobby stuff that he doesn't need in the next month. Pack some things in the kitchen, leave out one pan, leave out one pot so you can still cook. But that way, you are keeping sure that your essentials are still there for you to use for before you move, and the non essentials are packed and ready to go. If you're having a life change that's not moving, or a life change that is not a new job, my recommendation to you is one, listen to my last podcast episode. Oh, wait, just kidding. Listen to my next podcast episode with Kimmy Jane, because she's talking about achieving goals in it with me. And the best thing we can do is to set achievable goals for our life changes. So if you know you want a big life change, you need to set tiny goals in order to get to that large, big life change. But Miss Kimmy Jane says it the best on the next episode, so make sure to come back for that one. I don't want to go into it too much since we do talk about that in that episode. Okay, something that's very hard for me is being flexible. I am not a flexible queen. I am type A. I like to have plans. I like when things are sorted out. And when they're not, I'm anxious and crying. And so, the most important part of a big life change is staying flexible. I thought I was going to move in 4 months. Now I'm moving in one. Not much room to be flexible, but I just need to stay open minded. And everything I'm telling you guys, I'm really trying to soak in and tell myself, because I'm not going to lie, I'm being a hypocrite. I'm being a hypocrite. I have been stressed and pressed, but guess what? Diamonds are built under pressure. Next, I want to touch on some listener stories and questions, because I did tell you guys what my big life change is, but you guys are having big life changes too. So let's get into what you guys are dealing with. Big life change. Switching careers from teaching. I was a high school teacher in math, and now I'm in corporate, a pricing analyst at 26 years old. I taught full time for 3 years and decided it wasn't for me. Super terrifying, lol, but also super grateful I did it. That is amazing. Career changes are so scary, because I know everyone's thinking, but what if it's worse? Yes, what if it's worse, but what if it's better? It's always a good idea, if you feel like your job is not serving you, to go find something new. I heard on another podcast, I cannot remember what it is, and they were talking about jobs, and jobs should fulfill one of three things. They should either be supporting your life financially, it should be your passion, or I can't think of point three, but I'm going to try to find it and insert a clip if possible.
Like, I've just always lived by the fact that your job needs to do one of three things. It either needs to pay your bills, make you happy, or advance your career. It does not need to do all three. You can be in a job that makes you really happy, but it doesn't advance your career.
And if your job is not hitting one of those things, if it's not supporting you, if it's not affording you the life that you want, then it's time to go, baby. And what me and Michael found living in Connecticut is Connecticut was not affording us the life that we wanted to live. So we both want to be financially stable. We would hopefully soon like to have a house and one day get married and one day have kids. And since living in Connecticut, we have not been able to save up the way that we wanted to save up. And so we were like, we need a new opportunity. We need to go where the cost of living is a little bit cheaper and the jobs pay a little bit more. So that's exactly what we found. And it sounds like you, listener, it sounds like you needed that change too, because your job wasn't affording you the life you wanted to live and it wasn't filling your cup. So I hope your pricing analyst job is going swimmingly, and I just hope you're having the best time there. And to all you people that are thinking about switching careers or moving states, I say go for it. It's terrifying, but like I've said before, you can always go back. You can always go back to the town you were living in. And sometimes you can even go back to the same job that you had before. You know, if you were doing great, they might want to take you back. I don't know. But either way, like, everything is going to work out. Okay, this next one's about relationships. And boy, oh boy, can I relate to this. Big life change. The transition of coming out of a 3-ish year relationship, but ending on good terms, What is your advice on dealing with loneliness and being okay alone? Dealing with loneliness. So, this is something that I have definitely experienced before. I have been in long term relationships that haven't worked out, and I had to learn being alone. So, my advice to you is really to rely on your support system during this time. Getting out of a relationship, especially one of that length and seriousness, is scary. I had to do it before. And the way that I was able to deal with getting out of my 3 year long relationship was hanging out with my friends and family more. And if your friends and family aren't in your same state, either calling them, texting them, planning trips to go visit them, having them visit you. But your support system is everything because while you may have lost a partner, you still have your family. Another thing that I started doing was trying to reframe my brain on how I looked at being alone. Because as I've said on this podcast before, there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. And one thing you can do to fill your cup is taking yourself on dates. I did the whole Dates with D series. I still do Dates with D, but I kind of transferred what it looks like. When I first did Dates with D, it was all about me going on dates by myself to explore my town and just normalize doing things by ourselves that makes us happy. And so different things I would do like go to the park, go to the movies, try a fitness class, go get ice cream, take yourself out to dinner. It is very, very scary at first, but once you just embrace the being alone and getting to observe other people and experience what life is like in these different settings, it starts to become more normal and it starts to feel really good and really empowering. I personally felt super empowered when I would go out by myself, get dressed up, go to a little cocktail bar, sit with a good book, and you could even attract a new suitor, or you can just enjoy that book and your own time, your own beauty. There's beauty in being by yourself, which not a lot of us think about because society tells us all the time that it's not good to be alone. We need a partner, we need other people. And while your support system is so important, you do not need a romantic partner to be happy. There is so much value in platonic friendships and family partnerships. Okay, another one about a job. I finally decided to leave my mentally draining job after 7 months of applying. I just put my 2 weeks in. I never thought I would leave the industry I've been in since college, but I'm really excited and nervous for this much needed change. I am so excited for you because, as I said with the first submission, first listener, jobs are like, unfortunately in America, jobs are like our whole life. So if you're doing something that isn't providing you the life you want and not fulfilling your cup, get the heck out. I typically would not advise to quit a job if you do not have another job lined up. I've only done that once. But if it is draining you to the point where you can't even process life as a human, as a being on this universe, then I do recommend quitting it. I will say, I also do recommend getting something in the short term, whether you're a barista, whether you're working in retail until you find another full time position. You never want to put yourself in a bad financial situation. But if you have a partner that's supporting you or a family that's supporting you financially, amazing, beautiful, chef's kiss. I'm so happy that you have decided to look for new opportunities. And if you need any advice for looking for jobs, let me know because I went through that whole job search. And honestly, LinkedIn, don't come for me. I did not have a good time on LinkedIn. There are so many different places where you can look for jobs. Indeed was most successful for me. If you're in the tech industry, Built In is a really good one. And then I actually met with, or I got some mentors on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is great for networking. And I reached out to a ton of people in the industry I wanted to be in. And I asked them for meetings and I got some mentors that pointed me in the right direction for jobs. So if you're looking still for a job, highly, highly recommend networking with people that can point you in the direction to where you want to be. Okay, so this episode, we're going to keep it short and sweet. because I am anxious and I have to pack. I have like 5 days left in Connecticut and I got a whole lot of rooms to pack. So, thank you for letting me be vulnerable today. Big life changes are so scary, but we're going through them together. Whether you just had a baby, which we'll do an episode on, whether you are moving, whether you want new friends, want a new partner. This podcast is always your place to go. Each of my episodes are supposed to help you through a big life change. So while this one was generalizing big life changes, if you have a big life change coming and you want a specific episode, I'll find you an expert and we'll talk about it. So far, if this is your first episode tuning in, oh, also, I'm Darian Alexis. I don't think I said that in the beginning. I was too stressed. But if this is your first episode, am I speaking English? If this is your first episode, hey, I'm Darian Alexis. So far, we've had episodes like how to find friends. I've talked about finding a job before. We've talked about moving states already. How to move in with your partner. We got a wedding expert on here. Miss Galaxy Australia is coming soon to teach us about achieving goals and finding confidence. So we have an episode for everyone. So whatever life throws your way, know you can tune into a 20-something survival guide with your girl, Darian Alexis. I will keep you guys as updated on my move and my new job as possible. I hope to still be producing episodes during this really stressful time, but please bear with me. As you can see, I am crying and stressed and pressed like a diamond. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Please take the time to subscribe and leave a review if you haven't already. That really helps me continue to produce the podcast and really get out in front of more people. Love you guys so, so much. Thank you always for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I just appreciate you more than you can imagine, more than grains of sand on the beach, which I won't be living near anymore because I'll be living in Ohio, which I love Ohio. Ohio gets such a bad rep, but it's the best. Anyways, I'm Darian Alexis, and don't forget to survive and thrive. P.S. I'm sorry if this episode was hectic. Big life changes are hectic, and my brain is scrambled eggs. But eggs are protein and good for you. Anyways, love you. Bye.